David Kitchen, probably known more as Sam Kitchen. I was at Balby High School from 1977 to 1982. Okay. Yeah, I was born in Rintel in Germany. My dad was in the army. I went to Balby School. I was growing up. Then we moved to Waverley, and I went to Waverley School for the last year and a half. Then I moved to Balby School in 1977, Balby High School.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got two sisters and a younger brother. We all went to Balby School, and then we moved to Waverley School, and then my sister, myself, and my younger sister, they all went to Balby High School. They were the same stories for probably everybody. Was, oh, you know, the bigger ones, they'll beat you up, put your head down the toilet. A little bit to ease my mind was that I knew quite a lot of people from Balby School that were going to Balby High, so I like Dave Thomas, people who I knew. So it sort of eased it a little bit, but it was always the same, you know. You're worried about who's going to do what to you, shove your head down the toilet and stuff like that. So throughout school, I think the main interest I had was sport, nothing else. I can't remember anything about, you know, maths, or I had a great maths lesson, no. I think I just messed about, you know, do anything wrong, you get a cane, or you get it on your hand, or, you know, you get detentions and things like that. I think it's the same for everybody, really. Scared of Mr. Nading with the cane. I think I had it once. I think I had the cane once for refusing to sing in a music lesson, which was always a favourite of mine. I think they were hard but fair. Most of the teachers for most of the lessons, obviously I gravitated more towards PE and them subjects. You know, Mr. Cale, yourself, Mr. Old. Mr. Hopkinson, from his maths, he sort of, for some reason, give me a little bit of leg up now and then and give me a bit more help. Obviously from when leaving school, he set up a football team with yourself, and there was a couple of other teachers as well, and ex-pupils. So, yeah, that was the teacher-wise, there was nobody who caused major problems, but there was a few we were wary of. Teacher Mr. Holmes, I think he was the top one, because if you weren't concentrating, you'd get the board rubber around your head and have to take it back to him, which was, you know, standard procedure for his lesson. Mr. Jenkinson was hard but fair, but, you know, he used to have Sammy slipper, didn't he? And sometimes he'd pretend he'd give the slipper, but he'd whack it on the edge of the desk, and then that'd be a lesson to you, go back, and he'd not even touched you. There's other times where he'd trick you and give you a good wallop, and it'd sting a bit, and off you go. Facility-wise, Balby, it was what it was. We had the facilities, and that's it. We didn't have any expectations about, you know, we haven't got artificial turf, we haven't got this. We had the gym area with the wall bars. We used to play murder ball or whatever with the teachers as well. We used to play five-a-side, it'd be tight-knit. When we were out in the playground, we were playing football with a tennis ball or whatever we can get our hands on. Side to side, to gym wall, to the staff wall, and the windows were at an angle, and we used to have to use a tennis ball. I don't suppose you see that nowadays. When we played football, we went down to the park or next to the school, and nobody ever complained. No, there was no snobbery about facilities then, was there? We had to just accept it. Every minute of the day, we were either playing sport in school or out of school. Yeah. It was about, we're good enough, we'll beat them, whether we did or not. We played some football games where we thought we'd come quite close. Never once did we think, oh, it's down to facilities. I think people have a different mentality. Everybody from both, you know, even the higher age group, some of the lads who were really good footballers, and even our age group, we always thought we'd have a chance. There was no sort of, oh, it's because of this is the reason, this is the reason. Never mentioned facilities. It was just, we had a pitch, we had a gym, you know, basketball or whatever, cricket, just got on with it, really.
I think
There's pictures there. We used to say, why are we not using them? Because we used to have to traipse. By the time we got down, and set things up, you've wasted half, and you only had an hour.
Mm.
And I wanted more than an hour.
Yeah.
Hence why I did everything, cross country, you name it, I'd be involved in it. I remember I used to come to some of your sessions on the morning, they'd only be me. Basketball or something. I wouldn't do it for maths or English, not a chance.
Well,
The worst thing is, the plimsolls that you had to wear as a sort of, for not bringing your kit, it was better than the kit we had. So don't bring your kit because you get some excellent plimsolls and kit. It's better than what we had. I always remember going to the school coach, because whether it would be rugby or football, it was always the bristly sort of seat coverings, and it smelt a bit foisty. The coach always smelled a bit foisty, but never no bother. We had the tunes on, going to the football, even trips, school trips. We'd be on the school trips, the rare ones we could afford to go on, but usually it was for football or whatever we were doing. When I first left school, I don't think I had a plan of anything, what to do. Probably quite immature. I was 15 when I left. I floated around. I did a work scheme, a 6 months YTS at Bins, the department store in Doncaster. I think I did remote deliveries and something else. It was, you know, aimless. It was something to sign to say I'm in work for 6 months. Other than that, I did very little. I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. And I played football with my mates and that was it. Got in trouble a little bit. I was quite just floating around doing nothing really. It wasn't until probably 18, and I possibly matured a little bit, I started to play football with the football team that Ron Hopkinson set up, and then with yourself and other teachers, and some of the other pupils, ex-pupils, Devin Williams, Dave Thomas, I don't know if Pete Stewart or Don Bramley played, not sure, but I started to get an interest in football then, which was weird for myself and like Dave Thomas and a couple of other lads who went to school, and we saw teachers of like this, they're up there and we're just these pupils, and then we're playing in the same football, and then we're going afterwards and having a pint or whatever. It was a bit strange, but yeah, that sort of got me out of the way of doing things I shouldn't have been doing. Work-wise, it was not long after when a guy called Bernie Orwin used to knock on my door and say, oh, you know, you should come and play football for me. Like I say, I was there, I was speaking to him yesterday. He's 73 now, still a great bloke, football crazy. And then probably if it weren't for him, I would have gone on a different route. So I started working on a tarmac company, my first proper job really. From there, football progressed, and I started sort of aiming a little bit higher than what I were. Played for the Sunday team, then I started playing Saturdays for Broadsworth Miners Welfare. From there, I sort of progressed to Yorkshire Main, from there to Gould Town. They sold me for £10,000 and a bag of footballs or something to Stafford Rangers. I couldn't drive then. I went back to Gould Town, then I went to Frickley, passed my driving test. Then I got a move. I went on a few trials, Cambridge, Peterborough, Rotherham. Then I got a move to Orient, and signed a professional contract. Spent the next 14, 15 years playing football. You know, a northerner going down south. Obviously they had to get used to the fact that it said David on the thing, but my name was Sam. But hey ho. Yeah, it was a big change, but it was something I fancied doing, I wanted to do. Within 6 weeks of joining there, fitness-wise, I was flying, playing against West Ham, scored against West Ham, playing against these teams, playing against professionals in the top division, you know, the Premier, playing against Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and you just think, well, I was nowhere 2 years ago. Probably the least likely, I don't know whether people have a different opinion, maybe the least likely to go on to play professional compared to some of the really good players we had at the school, like Pete Stewart, Don Bramley, and some of the older lads, Carl Spouncer. There was a load of great footballers in the school, a lot of stronger players than what I were, so for some reason things progressed quite well. I think I was 22-ish when I first went there. Well, I was working on the tarmac staying there for 2 or 3 days, playing for the reserves. Then driving back to work, weird thing, but loved it. Played 4.5 years there. Had a couple of injuries, broke ribs, broken cheekbone, cuts, bruises, the general. I had shin splints, so that kept me out for 3 or 4 months. Hard surfaces, set me back a little bit, and then obviously I weren't playing as regular, so then Ian Atkins asked me to go on loan to Doncaster, which my home club, so I jumped at the chance really. At Orient you used to have your kit washed for you, your boots were clean for you, facilities were top notch, nothing was amiss, you know, everything was organised. The way we trained, the surface, go and play for Doncaster, and you know, Bellevue ground, there was still a hole in the ceiling in the changing room. Facilities weren't that great, sometimes the showers wouldn't work, you had to wash your own kit, which wasn't a problem, weren't a problem. The pitch was iffy now and then, the style of football was different, it was more long ball, whereas the division that Orient were playing in then, they were playing at teams like Stoke, West Bromwich Albion, teams like that. They wanted to play Port Vale, you know, kept the ball, play good formations, style of football. Bottom division was more kick and run, it was more physical, which, you know, I could handle myself on that side. Quality of players, I played it, Ian Wright, I don't think I touched the ball when he played. There was Ian Wright, Kevin Campbell, who was about this wide, who was like, oh, hello, can I look at that, get that ball? But there were players that I played at, like, you know, Crystal Palace, teams like that, West Ham, Julian Dix, Tony Adams plays like this. I was playing against them. 2 years before I was, you know, playing for the Dog and Duck. Other players are playing against Ginola, played against Tino Asprilla, played against Alan Shearer, played against Sunderland, even. I've got a few shirts from Sunderland, playing against them. Phil Barbeck's Liverpool player, Jason McAteer. I sort of, I got in touch with the PFA, who've been absolutely brilliant, and to this day, I still get help from them educationally if I need any courses. I spoke to the PFA and they said I could go to High Melton College, and I did the GCSEs, funnily enough, at 30. I left school with no qualifications. I think I might have got CSE in PE or something, nothing to write home about. So I went and did my GCSEs, English, Maths, 4 sciences. I did other sports related courses. Then I applied to Sunderland University, was accepted, and I went and did sport and exercise science. I moved with my partner then, because I had a son. We moved up to the northeast, and I was playing for Gateshead in the conference, which I played over 400 games for as captain. And I was at university at the same time, and I was working in sports development in learning disabilities as well. So all that experience, I still played till I was 41. I left Gateshead when I was 35 or 36. I went to play for Durham City for a couple of years, then I went to play for Bedlington Terriers. We got the semi-final of the FA Vars. We lost on penalties. That was my last kick. I went to play over 40s, and I finished playing over 40s last year. The reason why I chose Sunderland was because I'd sold my house in Doncaster and then we were moving up, so it was at short space, and so I did the application and I had to go through clearing. So I rang up and organised a meeting, a one-to-one meeting, and I went and seen the course leader. I drove over from Gateshead. It was a 3-year course. Once I completed that course, I went to do teaching qualification. At the same time I was still playing football, and I went on to work in a school. It was a PRU, secondary school for challenging behaviour. I worked there for 13 years. I used to deliver GCSE PE, Duke of Edinburgh, sports leadership, and I used a lot of the sports and outdoor activities to try and encourage the young people of South Shields to move away from the things that I probably did when I was younger, get them away from being in trouble with the police and trying to get them back on track, which was things through mountain biking, kayaking, canoeing, doing outdoor 4-day, outdoor adventure weekends, just getting involved in things other than what they shouldn't have been. So for the upbringing I had and the area we were brought up, which was, a bit rough to say the least, but it helped me try and understand them a little bit more as well. So when I was delivering the courses, the activities, the sessions that I did, that was always at the back of my mind to say, be mindful what they're up against, the low social economic families in South Shields. They haven't got the finances for all these things, so I used to get provided for them, provide all as much equipment as I could, so that they could do these activities and keep the costs down to a minimum, which I used to apply for funding through sports development agencies and get that money to school, and that helped with a lot of the projects that I did. I even did a mountain biking course to get qualifications, and we used to do bike repairs as well. Bearing in mind some of the bikes that they used to bring, I used to have a policeman come in every now and then to check that they weren't, they hadn't found them before they were lost. It did happen, trust me, it did happen. I'd worked for 13, 14 years in schools, working with young people. I wanted a change, so I decided to go and apply for the ambulance service. I was accepted for that, so I did all the training, completed all the training as an advanced technician. So I worked there for 4 years, brilliant, loved every minute of it. After that, I sort of moved over. I was asked to go and work with spine injury patients for a private health company who I'm currently working for now. I did that for about a year, moved into working with clients with learning disabilities and autism. I then progressed to be manager, service manager, which is my current role, which I'm moving over now to training staff in complex care, brain injuries and learning disabilities and autism. So now I'm an instructor in ProAct Skip, which is positive behaviour support and training staff in things like medication, moving and handling, basic life support, first aid, things like that. I never had a plan from day one. I always wanted to play football. Since the football, I've took different directions and it's all worked out. And I can't complain about the jobs. I've had some brilliant jobs. The job I've got now, I would never have thought I could ever stand up in front of people, train people, or work in some of the roles that I've done, ambulance service, working in schools, and it's been about helping people. I would never have thought that when I first left school that I could have done this and this. Whether that it's come from people in Balby being resilient, just working hard, basically. I won't change anything.
If you would like to know more about the Ossie Through the Ages project, then please email me at tonyarmstrong1959@outlook.com. Thank you.